There are currently 2 million people in the nation's jails and prisons, a 500% increase over the last 4 decades. Our current penal system has left us with overcrowded prisons, broken families, and devastated communities.
My name is Lamont Williams, 47 years of age.
My name is Tremaine Leggins.
Well, my name's Sam Tart, 4th year apprentice, carpenter.
Started my life in and out of jails. You know, I grew up in a project.
I got out of prison in 2017. I did 25 years actually. Went in when I was 19.
In '95, I caught a case and went to prison for 22 and a half years.
Incarceration takes a serious toll on mental health for several reasons. People can experience a loss of purpose when they're locked up. Many people incarcerated may experience depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, or PTSD.
What we fail to realize and that people don't talk about is depending on how long they've been in jail, when they went in, they suffer from PTSD as well. Because if you went in as a young man and you come out as an older man, everything is cool at first because you're just happy to be out. You don't, in your mind, you're not going back. But then it's so easy to fall back into those old patterns.
The life in jail, everything's on someone else's time. Your feelings are not valid. Every second of incarceration, you're being tore down. From the way people speak to you, to the way they treat you, to the whole system. I believe if I had stayed in that longer, I would have been totally institutionalized, meaning like there would have been nothing no one can do to help me.
Prison is like it's a place where you go to die, basically, if you want to die. So when I was in there, I just wanted to change myself and be better, be an inspiration, more so for my kids. I left kids behind as well. And I gained a child while I was in prison. I got married while I was in prison.
It didn't change me in a good way because, as I said, I was a repeat offender. I had got used to it. And I didn't have no kind of guidance. I didn't know nothing about the right way. And I thought the way I was going was the right way. Just do whatever you can to survive, you know, and jail's just gonna be my outcome. But once I was given a chance to work construction and someone hired an ex-felon, and I got a chance to rejuvenate myself, to see who I am. At first I didn't know who I was. I was just going with the flow of life.
Life in the penitentiary, you have no choices. Somebody is breathing down your neck, telling you what to do, when to eat, when you can leave the cell, when you can make a phone call, when you get your mail, when you can go to the store. It's very regimented. Imagine living in your bathroom with another person. They using the bathroom while you eating or trying to eat. You sleeping and they making noise.
Research shows that exposure to violence while in prison creates emotional distress. In addition, exposure to violence has a direct impact on how well individuals adjust to life outside of prison.
In prison, it's a lot of hatred, people just miserable and lonely. In prison, they treat you like you're second class, told that you're not gonna be anything. And people believe that, people succumb to that. Being away from their family, losing family in there, being told what to do. I done seen guys lose their mind in there. Guys that I actually knew when I came in with some really bright guys. As time went on, I seen they lost their mind because they couldn't handle the pressure of being in prison. Prison will break you if you're not strong enough to deal with it.
Mentally, it breaks you down. Start loneliness, depression, insecurities. It makes you start to hate yourself. You become a person that you don't recognize because you never knew your own self.
Getting out of prison can both be exciting and stressful. Most prisoners lost family members even before they returned.
Thinking about my present circumstances, and then I'm thinking about my future, how I would want my future to be. And so I knew that I couldn't leave the penitentiary in the same mental state that I came in as. So that's why I went to school. That's why I, stayed out the way of trouble, because I wanted to come home. I lost my mom. I lost the majority of my family while incarcerated. My mother, my father, my grandparents.
Lost my mom, lost my father, as well as my only sister by my mom, and countless relatives and friends, and I lost my relationship with my children.
My mom used to be my support, and my brother, that was my family. In the midst of me being incarcerated, I lost my mom and my brother. So I was really scared when I got out the last time, because I didn't even know where I was gonna lay my head at the first night, let alone eat. Sitting on that bus stop, and you get the jumpsuit on, and you get the little $100 they give you. You sit on that bus, wait on that Greyhound, and you like out of town. You don't know, my mom had died. So, that's where all my money orders was coming from. That's where all my books, whatever she sent me, my music was coming from. That's where my life was coming from. While I was in there, I didn't know how to jail. I stayed on my bunk, and I was a mama's boy. And when she passed, and I was sitting on that bench going home, I didn't know where I was going.
People leaving prison face huge obstacles in rebuilding their lives.
Individuals need to want better for themselves. They need to want a different life. They need to understand their actions, think over the lives and the decisions that they have made thus far, see how it has impacted them and where they have gotten. It is important to look at the losses that they have experienced. Sometimes the losses can help an individual move forward and away from the life that they have had thus far. There's a lot of programs that speak to the help that they can provide to an individual, such as job readiness and job training. However, when people are being released, they have kids that they need to go back home to. They have families that they need to feed. They have the desire to work right away so that they can start earning money. And a lot of these job readiness programs are not paid right away. And so therefore, the patience and the willingness becomes more of a distraction and not so much a desire for them, because they're still looking for that quick fix, so to say, to get back on their feet. So we need something that will train them but pay them all at the same time.
When I came home from the joint, it was hard. It was like, I paroled to a halfway house. Every day I would get up and look for work, look for a job, because I knew that I had to take care of myself. So I recall I walked so much when I was in the halfway house. I walked holes in my shoes.
Everything I did was to prepare me for getting out to society. I went to school, and because I was in there with staff, and I still asked them questions about what's going on in society, because when you're in prison, you're pretty much locked away from the world. I was nervous when I first got out. I was gone for 25 years. I was nervous. I didn't even sleep for the last 2 days of me getting out. That was like my last 2 days, like my first 2 days going in prison.
This cycle of recidivism can have a devastating impact on the lives of offenders, their victims, and their families.
The impact of recidivism, there's a few things to take into consideration. One, overall, how it impacts the community.
They can come home and you can have them set up for life. Good job, apartment, family living, all that. And then 2 years later, a year later, they have nothing. They're back to pretty much like it was. Like if they came home and they had to go to a halfway house and they didn't have that support.
I work with my clients to help them understand that jail is not where they want to be. One, I do a lot of language control, so to say. A lot of my clients refer to each other as cellie or inmates, or you say that our unit or our program is a deck, and I'm like, you're not in jail anymore, like reminding them that they're not in jail, to try to just reverse the language of choice, reverse how they view us as staff and not look at us as correctional officers, or encouraging them to come and talk to us freely and openly versus feeling like I can only ask certain questions.
Life after prison is not that easy. Finding work can be difficult for an ex-offender who may face discrimination from potential employers and various licensing restrictions.
If you don't know about organizations and if you don't have anybody that's willing to actually help you, especially if you're actually trying to, then you will get discouraged and you will get defeated. That's one thing that I do like about the construction industry, that they actually don't look down upon you because you have a background. It is the most ex-offender friendly occupation or career choice that you can have.
So while I was incarcerated, I would often send letters to the apprenticeship training program center in Elk Grove Village for the carpenters, and asking them would they reinstate me, and they would always tell me when I came home to send them a letter and that they would set up a hearing for me to see if I can get back in. So those 3 months that I was like looking for work and couldn't find nothing, I had just finally said, you know what, I'm gonna send a letter to the office in Elk Grove to be reinstated into the apprenticeship program as a carpenter. And I sent the letter, and I was like really surprised that they responded with a hearing date. All throughout my bid, I went to school, maintained a job, what they call a detail. I remember a time in which I had got laid off, and I never even thought about this. Like, man, never crossed my mind a day while I was incarcerated. But the 2 months, I was laid off for 2 months, and I was so scared that I like contemplated suicide.
It was scary. It was so scary starting out fresh because I felt like I was insecure a lot. I felt like did nobody understand my situation because everybody, the new people in my life, were living different than I was.
With commitment to education, skills training, and family support for inmates, we can reduce the burden of incarceration on our communities and our economy.
Loved ones can support individuals being released from prison by holding them accountable, helping them to become more responsible, reducing the enabling, and making sure that they have more positive resources of support versus negative resources. Otherwise, those individuals are more likely to go and do the same thing that they were doing prior to incarceration because it's easy, it's familiar, and it's comfortable.
Me, myself, don't want to ever have to go back to. And I encourage my younger brothers and sisters out here, especially my black brothers and sisters, man, the streets ain't that ain't the life that we want to live. We can do better than what we doing. And just recently I bought a Greystone, 3-flat Greystone building, you know, after not even being home 4 years.
If you're a person that wants something out of life, you gotta surround yourself with people that's winning. You can't surround yourself with somebody who don't have no dreams, no ambition, because they're gonna pull you back down with them. It's like the crab effect. You put a lot of crabs in the bag, every time one come up, another one gonna pull them down. You don't wanna be around that type of crowd.
Jail and something in a lot of ways sets you up to fail when you get out here. And you have to stay ahead of the game. the game of life, and you have to prepare yourself, you know, with a support team. Whenever you get a chance to get on the phone in the jails, you know, or pen and paper in your hand, write to some of these work programs in your community. Connect with someone, a community organizer, or someone that's positive, that's in tune with the community that can help you before you get there. You're running scared, you know, you're running trying to catch up with something that you think you missed, and you wind up back on that bump again.